All right, so I was asked today why I was looking at NVIDIA. So it kind of started with this, and then we get this recovery. First, it was this, and then we lost that. So drew a new like trend line like this, um, and then I was like, okay, let me try the wicks. I usually don't draw wick trend lines, but that's what's kind of if I can draw it correctly. Um, I was like, all right, well, wick to bodies, I guess. Um, Interesting days there with the Trump China thing. So I was just kind of waiting for a reason to, um, kind of get up and out, right? So looking at this kind of falling action here that hasn't materialized in terms of upside. Um, that bar is so annoying. Let me see if I can draw it better here. So I'm trying to draw that, and then I noticed it's not really falling, right? So I scratched that, drew this yellow box here, and I'm like, we swept that local low, right? Meaning the closest low, and then we closed with the candle body above this 180. Um, and so I was like, all right, let me just zoom in more. I want to have the macro view, but I'm like, all right, are we getting over like that? So let me go to like the 65 minute, try to, um, so yeah, down here I was like, all right, are we going to sweep this and go higher? Which is exactly what happened. Um, so my calls were down like 30%. No, they never got to 30. I know people said 30. I think it was like 27. But um, and I was like, if we hold this 180 where we close, like if we don't lose this, I'll take a 30% loss. That's fine. I did sell most today. Was it 20%? I don't even remember. I don't think I even got to 20% today. It was probably like 18. Yesterday with this push up here to 85, it was higher. It's probably like 30. So we trimmed there, held some. I should have added more. Actually, did I add yesterday? Yeah, I did hold yesterday. I added some. Look at Wednesday. Yeah, today's Thursday. I keep looking at the wrong day now that I've extended hours off. So I added down here yesterday when this tweezered. I trimmed today. I still have like two contracts left or something. I saw Amy alerted it, but I didn't see that until after hours. So I'll be looking to add this tomorrow probably. Um, so this just like movement here. Look at boom, went here. This started green here, started there, went to here, right? So that went here. Look at that. Got higher, like I said. That's where we trimmed. Got to this spot here. I was kind of shocked this happened. I thought we would get lower first, but then the next day we went lower. So we were looking at this head and shoulders. I hope we get something like that or a higher low like this level here. That would be great to hold. Um, Something like that. Um, anyway, that's just kind of what we were playing there. And like I said before, it does just look back and forth here. But on the daily, let me go to the weekly. I haven't. Yeah, trying for that little falling wedge thing. So, like I said, holding this yellow level, bounced off the blue. Um, you want to kind of clear this. Look at these indecision. Look at how many times we couldn't break this before. And then we fake out. When we finally broke it, look at boom. When we finally broke it, we went all the way from this 182 to 191. And I think the next time we break it, we're going to get even higher. So, um, that being said, A lot of times you go higher than lower. Does it do this megaphone? I hope not. I really don't think that happens, but it could. Um, anyway, and then hood. So I haven't even looked at this wedge. Wow. I drew this last week. Yeah, see, Friday. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens there. Hood gapped up over the weekend. And I was like, crap, I should have. It's tough to do calls here, but let me do calls here. Look at this indecision candle here that held, right? So when indecision holds, look, indecision down, and this indecision led to a like chop day. It went higher and then lower, opened here. So technically that's a gap up, and then it ran. So you want to hold above like this indecision and that for sure. And you know, we could have gotten here. We could have just been at 125 for Monday, but it gapped up. So it's like, all right. Now, I didn't see this. I just saw this blue line. I didn't notice that it was like a wedge retest, but it came all the way down here. Look at this SR flip here, SR flip there. And then again, that's a third SR flip at that 120. So I'm going to mark this with a darker line, and I'm going to make it a alert line. I want to know if it gets there again, to watch for it to get back over. And let's see. This is the zone that you want to clear. That, in my opinion. I hate making the zone so big, but okay. So big candle today. Just for some perspective, this candle body is the strongest hood candle body since here when you double topped, right? And then you have another strong one there, continuation. Now, could this candle here go here? Of course. It would be nice to, like, let me try to mimic this. Get like this tomorrow. Look how easy it is to Photoshop stuff. Just grab that color. I mean, I'm not good at Photoshop, but I'm just saying, like, look, oh gosh, our hood calls hit. So we are right there. So if market open right now, we're at this top right now, 135. Now, I mean, that's probably unlikely, right? Like, let's get the same size candle as today. Measured move would be this. If you got the exact same candle tomorrow, but just higher, something like that, right? And I can never put it exactly. That says Monday, but Friday would be, I can't even do it. So anyway, something like that would be amazing. But the likelihood that you retrace into the candle is high, so I wouldn't be shocked to like dip rip. This is all just projections here. Something like this, just tomorrow though. That's going into beyond tomorrow. This is like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Look at that candle's Halloween. But I'm just saying, like, you want to kind of dip like this. And then the reason why I'm putting that there is because then you would hold the top of this candle. Okay. Now, really, when you see 2 days in a row like this and that, this is like one candle. So you can't really mark that high. Like, there's no, it didn't really bump his head there. That wick is really nothing unless you see other touches over here, which I don't see. So let's go to the 65 minute. Zoom in, and kind of like what I was saying with NVIDIA, you're just getting a clean move. Yesterday swept under and then went higher. Now I have to change my color because I was messing around and now it's off. So you sweep under and then you reclaim, and then, you know, the perfect entry, I guess you could say, would be like here. And you're like, boom, I'm in. And look, we opened right here. We retested the last candle of the day, the previous day close, and went up. So let's go to like the 5 minute and check that out. Let me make this white and dotted. And let me turn on extended so we can see the days a little better. I think it moved it. No, it didn't move it. Okay, now I don't know what this is. Oh, I have this key levels thing. Yeah, let me turn that off. All right, so turn key levels off. Turn that off. Still strong, right? Over the 200. It was below. Look at this cup and handle. Cup and handle that happened. So, strong move second half of the day. We never got into that lower part of yesterday's move. We held, look at closing print right here. We held closing print. We opened, dip ripped. And I was like, hood calls right here. And I called hood calls again right there. Those are the two entries. I was like in, out, and held the 9 EMA. And we were in. It's easier to see on Webull, like literally touch the 9 EMA. But yeah, so over pre-market high. Look at this zone, this little pre-market zone. Let's make it like white. And we try to zoom in. So zooming into this, kind of messes up the candles because my candle borders are white. We do black. Okay. So we opened yesterday, bear flag down. So this top of this bear flag, what we lost yesterday is now a level, okay? And then this wick I think is a nice level. What happened in pre-market, we gapped up, whatever. We could have gapped down, fine, but now it's like, okay, we're within this bear flag for yesterday. And this is like a big level, you know? Now, you have pre-market here, so that's a level for the day. This, first of all, we got in here because this was flagging. All right, and I go, oh, like, I think we're going to flag up. This wicked up, and I was like, oh, shoot, we are, like, if we hold this 128, we're in. So you have pre-market levels within pre-market. It's not just like pre-market high. So you have this level, and this level, which kind of coincides with this spot yesterday. So let's just mark pre-market. That's fine. Does this line up with no? So this was the wick down, but you want two touches, right? So there's a wick, and then there's a retest to the downside. So let's mark that. Kind of lines up with this, so this is considered a zone. When you have two levels next to each other, I just call it a zone, and I'm like, okay, we need the zone, you know? So let me mark that as purple. There we go. So yeah, this was why I was like, oh, watch this. We are holding this 9 EMA pinch, right? Got into calls, and then we retested pre-market high. Got into calls again. And it's just like, all right, well, you're playing with house money at this point because you already made 40% on this. So it's like, all right, kind of 20% to play with or whatever. And it just was never read. These hood calls were never read. I alerted that, and it was just green. You know, I even alerted it on the red candle. I was like, I like this wick. We kind of wicked here. I wasn't even looking at the P&L, but I saw green like the whole time. All right, so this was all happening. Let me take this stuff off. With I'm trying to backtrack here. Okay, yeah, if hood gets back to that 123, we are gonna jump in that. Look at that little SR flip. Okay, and then go to SPY. I just was hyper focused probably on NVIDIA and hood, and then is it? That's not SPY today. That's SPY yesterday. Guarantee it. Yep. So I missed this push at the beginning of the day, Now SPY ran. Okay, SPY absolutely ran. I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't. Very strong, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's wait for the retest. There was never a retest in the first like half hour at least. My computer's jacking it. This retested that. Remember I said mark more than one pre-market level? So let's do that. You have, let's call it there. Let me take off this key levels. Okay. And then we have this swing high on pre-market. I would say more here because of this candle. Like, where did it actually break down? Not where was the perk. Where was the last time bulls pushed it before it dropped? And then this, look at this double, that yellow line right there, 667, 69. I already have a level there. So SPY never got there, but like once we opened and pushed over the 66769, we were never there the entire day. Pretty bullish. So you have this area here that we tweezered off of. This is what I was talking about today. Got to the 200 EMA, immediately popped up. 200 EMA immediately popped up. And look at all these. Every like drop was immediately bought up. There was like no chance for bears today, up until the end of the day. But where do the this is when the candles are like tradable. After this just chops. I don't know if Trump started talking at 11 or what it was, but look at this. We just got all these small candle bodies. Everybody's listening to Trump, not sure what to do. And it's like, be done. Theta's jacking you up. And then eventually there's a doji there, a doji there. This doji didn't really break down yet. That doji had us break down. You could have caught 30% if you really were on top of it. That's pretty much a doji. Didn't really go. Doji. Then we get this zero candle body doji that we broke down from. You could have got 100% there if you decided to play that. That's very risky end of day. But my point is, this blue box is like the tradable zone. It's like you're buying dips. Even if you bought this dip, you're good. So all day I was just like, dude, just buy calls and wait, you know. So there's nothing wrong with SPY today. That looks good. I think IWM ran even more though. Gotta erase that. That was yesterday. I gotta get rid of all, like, dude, I have too many lines. Okay, so what lines can I get rid of? This didn't do anything today. Look at this zone. And then this yellow zone. So we have tap here. So I'm going to leave that yellow line. I'm going to make it blue actually. Finally get a blue line on IWM. I like the price action on that. We have this rising wedge that broke above. It's not even a rising wedge, it's a ascending triangle that broke above. And we have once, twice, 3 times a lady. So rule of 3, usually the last time we're there, but if you bought calls here and waited, you're green the entire time. Now, going from here to here, you're losing 50% of the contract on a 0 day. So I'm not saying just hold, but super clean pattern. And I was saying in voice, if I traded any indice today, it would have been IWM. So, and then let me go to yesterday, get rid of this. Let's see anything here. Yeah, that zone did tap. Let me get rid of that yellow line. This zone, yeah, it tapped there too. So I'll keep that. Ooh, look at this. This is from Thursday. Low a day. Look where the ascending triangle broke above. That line I just made blue. So we'll watch that line into tomorrow. I would not be shocked to get this kind of move. Like you wick down, get the candle body above, and then push up. So we'll see how that reacts. The other side of this would be here, you get under. You don't always retest right on it. You go like this, you know? So like look what happened right here. The first push was a false move, and then it went up. So everybody that got in there was like, oh shoot, I'm percent. You know? That makes day trading tough, but the retest didn't hold until there. What's the E-Trade's ultimate patient entry? Above that line that I made blue, and then you finally get the higher low. Yes, you got the higher low there, and this would have paid. But if you got in here, you're out right there. You don't wait for this and this. You would have been out, and then you had to get back. I mean, you would have had to stomach that drawdown. And from here to here, that's probably 30%. At least 20. Getting rejection, red candle, you know. And then in your mind, you're like, okay, I caught this move up. What if this drops? What if it, you know, does this? Ascending triangles can drop some. Like, you have to wait for that retest. And let's just zoom in. It's easy to say after the fact. This is really hard to do, you know. I'm trying to kind of learn what's the best entry, you know. If I'm watching this in real time and I'm like, okay, if this holds, I'm in. You need a candle body above this candle, this body right here. You need the next candle up. The next candle's under. So there's no entry there. Here you go. That could work, but you need the retest, right? This isn't a retest. This is a reclaim. This is a bullish engulfing false breakdown. That could go. It could, but this is an unconfirmed entry. You need this to retest, just like this did. Look at this. Imagine you get in here. You have to be out here. You're round tripping it. The second time you're in. Look at over here. Oh my gosh. Came up, lost it, SR flipped. Oh shoot, we're going to go down. Like, it's still chopping away. You know, you can play these levels if you want, or you can just be a boss and be like, I'm not getting in until we're above the line. Like, that's the difference between making thousands and scalping for pennies, in my opinion. And it's hard to do. I'm not going to sit here and be like, so I do the thousands. I'm all the time. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm out 12%. Fuck, you know? So that's what I got today. Love you guys.